Modern Stoic Wisdom, the pool. I was 14, maybe 15 years old. My older half-brother tied a cinder block to my ankle and threw me into the deep end of the pool. I remember looking up. A foot of water above my head. The surface shimmering impossibly far away. My lungs screaming. And I remember the choice I made in that moment, not to panic, not to give up. I clawed my way up the side of that pool, inch by inch, until I broke the surface and gasped for air. When I got out, I didn't say anything. I didn't fight back. I didn't scream. Because even then, at 14 years old, I understood something that would save my life over and over again. You cannot control what others do to you. You can only control who you become in response. That's Stoicism. I just didn't know it had a name yet. The torture begins. Age 5. The torture started when I was 5 years old. For 10 years, from age 5 to 15, my half-brother made my life hell. I won't go into all the details. Some things aren't meant for public telling. But that pool, that was just one incident among many. He was about 8 years older than me, strong, cruel, and I was just a kid trying to survive. My mum was a single mother raising 5 kids. I was the middle child. She worked all the time just to keep us fed. Multiple stepdads came and went. When I was 15, one of them slammed me onto the kitchen table so hard it broke beneath me. That's the kind of chaos I grew up in. But once a month, maybe once a month, I got to see my grandfather. A World War II navigator who dropped bombs on the Germans so we wouldn't be speaking German today. He was my refuge, my rock, the only stable thing in my entire childhood. And he taught me 3 things that would carry me through everything that came next. Marcus Aurelius: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Grandfather's wisdom: my grandpa would tell me, sit back, shut up, and do less talking and more listening. He'd say, only 10% of what people say is true. The rest is bullshit. And he'd make me look up a new word in the dictionary every single day and figure out what it meant. He didn't call it Stoicism. He called it common sense. But what he was teaching me was discernment. How to observe. How to see through the noise. How to find truth in a world full of lies. Stoic principle number 1. Observe more than you react. Listen more than you speak. Most of what comes at you is noise. Learn to filter for what's real. I didn't realize it then, but my grandfather was training me to survive. He was giving me the tools I'd need when everything fell apart. The breaking, age 13. When I was 13, my mom told my grandparents to go piss off. Just like that. My only refuge, gone. Around the same time, my stepdad Richard, a Vietnam combat vet who'd been shot multiple times as a radio man, his relationship with my mum fell apart too. Richard had been strict, but he'd been teaching me how to be a man, and now he was gone. I lost both anchors in the same year. I never really had a childhood. I was raising my 3 younger brothers while my mum worked. I only finished the first semester of 9th grade before I was done with school entirely. At 13, I realized something that Marcus Aurelius wrote about 2,000 years ago. You cannot change what has already happened, but you can change what happens next. Stoic principle number 2, the past is gone. You can't fix it. You can't undo it. All you can do is decide who you'll be moving forward. I couldn't change my childhood, but I could survive it. And I could make damn sure I didn't become the people who hurt me. The bottom, homelessness and the train. By my early 20s, I'd been homeless multiple times. I'm talking sleeping in the California desert, crappy motels in the worst parts of Las Vegas, saving every dollar I could scrape together. One night I was trying to escape Vegas. I hopped onto a freight train, moving fast, maybe 20 miles an hour. I found a spot and settled in for the ride. Then the train stopped in the middle of the desert. I jumped off to see how long it was, at least a mile of cars. And while I was looking, the train started moving again. I ran, sprinting alongside this accelerating train, trying to find where I'd been. But I'd lost my spot. My backpack with everything I owned was still on that train. So I did the only thing I could do. I climbed up, and I crawled over car after car, 70 miles an hour, wind ripping at me, nothing but desert below, until I found my backpack. Fear? Yeah, I felt it. But I felt something stronger, determination. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius. Stoic principle number 3. When retreat isn't an option, move forward. The obstacle isn't blocking your path, it is the path. That train taught me something. You can freeze in fear or you can climb. I chose to climb. The Rise, Arkansas and Bill. When I was 18, I left California, the concrete jungle of Los Angeles, and moved to Arkansas. I had nothing. But I got a job working for a man named Bill who ran a construction and inspection company. I worked for Bill for 6 years. He made me do everything: talk to customers, bid jobs, execute projects from start to finish. I thought I was just working for him. I didn't realize he was training me. In 1996, when I was 24 years old, I started my own construction company. That's when it hit me. Bill had been preparing me the whole time. He'd been teaching me how to run a business without ever telling me that's what he was doing. Stoic principle number 4. Learn from mentors, even when you don't realize they're mentoring you. Then become the mentor for someone else. Around that same time, I met my wife. I saw her walking through a parking lot, and we ended up going to the same friend's apartment. We've been married for 29 years now. My mum had been married 5 times. My dad had been married 5 times. Chaos, divorce, instability, that was the pattern I grew up in. My wife and I made a decision. We would break the generational curse. Our kids would have what I never did, a stable home. Parents who stayed. A childhood. We have 3 kids now. A daughter, 29. 2 sons, 25 and 21. And they don't know most of this story. They didn't need to carry the weight of what I survived. They got to just be kids. That's the victory. The future. 6 companies. Today, I run 6 companies. My construction company, I've had that since 1996. Nearly 30 years now. In 2017, I started a security shutter company. We operate nationwide. In 2018, I launched my first online store on Amazon. You want to know what I sell? Survival gear. The irony isn't lost on me. A man who survived homelessness, freight trains, and a childhood that should have destroyed me. Now I help other people prepare to survive. I also sell on Walmart online. I have 2 Etsy stores where I sell jewelry. 6 companies total, all started from scratch. I own $1 million home that I spent 3 years building. Those were rough years, but I got through them the same way I got through everything else. Stoic principle number 5. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. Obstacles aren't failures. They're stepping stones. Marcus Aurelius ran the Roman Empire while fighting wars on multiple fronts. He wrote, "The mind adapts and converts to its own purposes the obstacle to our acting. The impediment to action advances action." I didn't go to college. I barely finished ninth grade. But I learned to adapt. I learned to convert obstacles into opportunities. And I refused to let other people's problems, their negativity, their labels, I refused to let any of that steal my joy or get inside my head. Stoic principle number 6, protect your mind like a fortress. Reject conflict. Refuse to be held captive by other people's chaos. You can't control what people say about you. You can't control their stupidity. But you can control whether you let it in. I don't. The burial, Wendell, and forgiveness. 5 years ago in 2020, I got a call. My half-brother Wendell, the one who tortured me for 10 years, was dead. A truck had dropped on his head and killed him. My father, who had always favored Wendell, who had given him everything while I got nothing. My father couldn't bring himself to go to the funeral. He was too devastated. Wendell was his chosen one. So I drove from Arkansas to California. With my brother, and I handled everything. The burial and arrangements. And I made a choice. I placed Wendell in the mausoleum in the Garden of Rest, right next to my grandfather. The man who tortured me, resting beside the man who saved me. People ask me how I could do that. How I could forgive someone who did what he did. Here's the truth. Forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. Carrying anger, resentment, hatred, that's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Wendell was already gone. Holding on to what he did would only destroy me. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Marcus Aurelius. Stoic, principle number 7. Forgiveness is freedom. Not for them, for you. I didn't forgive Wendell because he deserved it. I forgave him because I refused to let him have any more of my life. He'd taken enough. The choice, Roman's birthday. For 18 years of my adult life, I was a highly functioning alcoholic. I was so good at hiding it, most people never knew. But it cost me money, relationships, peace. I'd quit before, sometimes for years at a time, but I'd always slide back. Then this year, in March 2025, I made a decision. My 7-year-old grandson, his name is Roman, it was his birthday. And I thought, this is it. This is the day I stop for good. 7 months ago, March 2025. I quit drinking and I haven't touched it since. Why Roman's birthday? Because it's a great day to remember, and because I wanted a date I'd never forget. A moment that meant something. The first day was hard. But after that, I fell back on the principles I'd always known. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Stoic principle number 8. It's never too late to change. At 53, I'm still becoming who I'm meant to be. I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. I've failed. But I keep moving forward. I keep building. I keep refusing to let the past define the future. And that's what this channel is about. The mission. Why this exists. If you're watching this, you're here for a reason. Motivation, maybe. Maybe you're going through something hard right now. Maybe you feel stuck. Maybe you've been knocked down so many times you're not sure you can get back up. I'm here to tell you, you can. I know because I've done it. From the pool at 14 to 6 companies at 53. From homeless in the desert to $1 million home. From 18 years of drinking to 7 months sober and counting. The principles that saved me aren't new. Marcus Aurelius used them 2,000 years ago while running an empire. My grandfather used them after dropping bombs in World War II. And I've used them to survive torture, homelessness, addiction, and loss. Modern Stoic wisdom exists because these principles work. Not in theory. In real life. In your life. This channel won't give you motivational fluff. It won't promise you easy answers. What it will give you is practical stoicism for modern survival. How to observe instead of react. How to filter truth from chaos. How to turn obstacles into opportunities. How to protect your mind from other people's projections on you. How to forgive, not for them, but for you. How to keep climbing, even when you're 70 miles an hour off the ground with nothing but determination holding you up. If I could claw my way up the side of that pool at 14, you can claw your way out of whatever pool you're in right now. I'm not special. I'm not superhuman. I'm just a guy who refused to quit. Who learned from a World War II veteran that only 10% of what people say is true. Who survived by shutting up, listening, and applying ancient wisdom to modern pain. And now I'm here to teach you how to do the same. Welcome to Modern Stoic Wisdom. Let's get to work.
If you're finding these ancient wisdom principles valuable for your modern life, I'd be grateful if you'd hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Every subscription helps us reach more people who are ready to transform stress into strength and chaos into calm. We're building a community of modern Stoics who refuse to be controlled by circumstances, and we'd love to have you as part of it.